going to start with a name that's become a part of our everyday commuter talk, especially here in Bengaluru, Rapido. So from the early days in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities to becoming a national force, Rapido is proof that timing and belief can outpace consensus. Please welcome Arvind Sanka, co-founder of Rapido. Joining him on stage is Sia Kamali, founder of Skycatcher, and Saurav Jain, principal at Process Ventures. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us here today. So first up, Arvind, I have to ask you, did you take Rapido to get here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of the top 100 customers of Rapido, so I use it almost every day.
And have you been a captain as well?
Yeah, I mean, that is a part of our culture where everyone has to be a captain at least once a month, so we also do that.
First up, now you've built conviction around India's smaller cities, Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, much before these were investor buzzwords. So give us a sense of what you saw on the ground. What did the data tell you? What did you see in real life? And how did that conviction really come in to build something at that point in time in the mobility space?
Yeah, one of the reasons is I come from a Tier 4, Tier 5. I don't think we can call it a city as well. We could see from data that the competitions were not doing a huge number of orders in Tier 2, Tier 3, and not even in Tier 1. So we said that is a white space where no one is even looking at it because they were not solving for affordability. So one of the big part of Rapido is we don't think about solutions for the top 10 million people. We think about whether it can make sense for the next 500 million people. So that's what made us start Rapido. I mean, Rapido is a pivot from a previous idea. But with the thesis of if it is solving for masses, then it has to be beyond Tier 1. And Tier 2, Tier 3 is a complete white space. Even now, we own like 90% market share in Tier 3, Tier 4 cities where hardly competition exists there. So, and we went with a different approach of two-wheeler. I mean, now two-wheeler taxis is something where everyone thinks it's obvious. But when we have started, it was not the case.
How many rejections did you have to go through before meeting Sia?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely north of 50, 70. And the reason of reaching to Sia as well, right? I mean, imagine the guy who never invested in India, and we had to go there. And we had to reach out saying, because we couldn't get a lot of yes from Indian investors. So I reached out from someone who can understand mobility from outside India. Because one thing that we realized is this journey is going to be long because we are taking on incumbents back then. So we need someone who has conviction.
What signals did you catch at that point in time where you felt that I am going to lean in even though conventional wisdom says that, hey, hold on, maybe not such a great idea. And you had invested in ride sharing before in Bangladesh. So were there lessons that you brought from that geography into India as well?
Investing mainly in public equities and strategically in venture, we try to aspire to understand business models deeply. And it's a very different context than the traditional VC investor. So for us, we seeded Bangladesh's leading ride-sharing company and exited to Gojek, who actually basically pioneered the model. So when Arvind reached out to us, it was almost like a light bulb moment where I said, wow, no one's doing two-wheelers, and you have more two-wheelers and four-wheelers and three-wheelers. And so I think these moments where you can be contrarian and right are very rare. From that initial reach out, we spent then 7-8 months getting to know Arvind. Because again, we do one venture deal a year. Back then we were a tiny fund, so a $4 million round was honestly unmanageable. But I was very upfront with Arvind. I said, look, I don't have all this money, but I will make it work. Go with me on a roadshow. So we actually did a roadshow together. But it goes to show that, for us, we're an entrepreneurial investor. Skycatcher today is primarily principal capital. It started from a very small base, and myself being a founder in an investment management business, I can relate to a founder like Arvind who is all in. And what makes Arvind very special? So one thing I think stands out is focus. Some founders, especially in emerging markets, they have this like conglomerate mindset. They can do everything. And I think Rapido has been very disciplined in that, and it's a tribute to Arvind's focus of saying, no, let's do this one thing really, really well before we go and kind of have a bigger vision. And then the last part is, look, this story of building from nothing to something, you have to be very humble. And I think the cost structure advantage of Rapido, like it's in their DNA.
Arvind, now two-wheelers can be a gray zone when it comes to regulations, right? So has there been a large consumer shift, behavior shift as well that you've seen on ground?
Yeah, definitely. I think even before, when we started, we said there is a perception that two-wheelers are not safe, irrespective of the gender. So we want to take on that right from the start, saying that how can we show or how can we make people use a bike taxi? So first thing that we said is we are the only ride-sharing company back then, at least for the first 6-7 years, where we were giving insurance for all the rides, both for our customers and for our captains. Because pricing is always attractive. People will come because of the price, but the safety is something we can't compromise on. And then we have like industry-defining safety features for women consumers, and we build products which no ride-sharing company globally has built it, and also because in two-wheeler it is even more necessary, so we approach the problem statement in that way. So, and definitely what we see right now is not only from tier 1, like tier 2, tier 3 also, women consumers are using Rapido and then sitting safe behind a stranger. But what the interesting part that's also happening in this year after our new initiative of Bike Pink is we're also seeing women captains and coming and doing this as a gig. So we moved from strangers sitting behind a stranger to women sitting behind a men driver to right now a women driver coming and picking you and dropping you. So definitely these are definitely both making sure that we are increasing penetration, but at the same time, how do you create employment at scale? Because the heart of that, our problem statement is more than transportation. We believe we are solving an unemployment and underemployment problem, which is big in tier 2, tier 3 cities more than even tier 1.
Sia, this investment in Rapido started as an SPV for you. When do you realize that, you know, this little bet on a sort of unconventional, off the beaten path idea is now ready to really scale up and make it big? And then what does that road look like?
We have two kind of skill sets. When it comes to the public equities market, we can compound at attractive rates. And when it comes to the venture side, we want to be really early. Now that Rapido has kind of graduated to this next stage, and it's kind of 8 years since we now come out and say, hey, we did it. We wanted to wait for that proof point. So this year, we've realized a portion of our investment. And I think we're still part of the journey. But for us, that realization means we can now redeploy that into the next batch that we think is Rapido, which we'll talk about later today.
Process, of course, has also invested in Rapido in the extension of the Series E funding. What's going to bring the next 10x for Rapido and for its investors?
When you look at the overall mobility market in India, it's probably online mobility market would be 8 million trips a day, 10 million trips a day. But we are a population of 1.4 billion. So of course, like people are moving from place A to place B, but they are taking other means. So we still feel that it's day 0, not even day 1 for online mobility in India. And we have backed a company that has, in some ways, disrupted the incumbents, and we do not see that very often, especially in verticals where the network effects are very strong. And that's a testament to the team. The team is supremely on ground, and hence they have come up with these kind of innovation.
In our next conversation, I'm going to welcome Robbie John, CEO and co-founder of Super Gaming, which is a homegrown studio proving that global multiplayer games can be built right here in India. Very, very excited to have you here with us, Robbie. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Great being here.
First up, give us all a quick introduction to what Super Gaming is all about. What are you building?
Super Gaming is a homegrown studio that's been building real-time multiplayer shooters specifically, but games for the last decade. We've built games like Mass Gun, Silly Royale that have been installed and played by over 200 million people all over the world. In fact, we launched Indus, a homegrown Indo-futuristic battle royale in India last year. And we're scaling that with a new hybrid take on battle royale and extraction called BRX that we're launching globally, starting with LATAM. Our games are all about community, fun, and now have a competitive esports angle to them, all built right here.
But they are not real money games.
The regulatory bill that kind of came out provides clarity in terms of what is real money and what is, for the largest time, we've had to call ourselves video games. And that's kind of something that I think the government has provided clarity on. I believe these are two different user bases.
How are you seeing this policy shift really changing the gaming landscape in India?
I think it's a pivotal moment. It's a turning point. The government has provided clarity in terms of what it wants to encourage and what it doesn't. We've been building in that space because we believe that that's where the largest consumers are, who are growing up with a mobile phone in their hand, wanting to play true video games. I think the regulatory clarity helps, but it's always been our ambition to build great games for the world, taking our art, culture, and bringing games from India to the rest of the world.
What were those first few months like? How skeptical were you? And how initiated into the Indian market were you already? Was your investment in Rapido already in place at that time?
Yes, so we led the Series A in Super Gaming in 21, and similar to Rapido, we followed on. The skepticism just mainly came from just when you think about a creative industry like gaming, no one thinks of India, right? They think of outsourcing the content here and building it, but creative part, no one gives that credit. For us, and Robbie's very persistent, and he's just a great person to talk to. So I think, I like that, right? But it quickly became very clear to me that they have built a technical advantage, and they've taken advantage of one of India's huge advantage of engineering talent. In fact, to be more clear what that is, if you look at mobile gaming and shooter genre, it's a very hard problem to solve for low-end devices. And really only in China do you see that out of Tencent and NetEase. Right? Western game companies don't even bother with mobile shooters because of how hard it is. And here it is, a studio in Pune who's not only built that tech stack, but kind of almost needs a little bit of a push to say, here's how you should take it forward.
And back then you already told him that if you're into real money gaming, I'm not going to back you?
I think, look, everything comes from a first principle for us. When you look at gaming, social gaming, it's a $200 billion market. It's far bigger than the money gaming part, right? And for us, venture is something we do once a year, strategically. Why would I go after a smaller category? I want the bigger category, right? So it wasn't even a second thought process in that sense. And then I think the second piece is, if you get the social part, which is very hard, you have franchises that endure for decades.
And since then, you've doubled down after Series B, you've led after Series A, and you've led the Series B round as well. So, what has been the reason for that? What has, how has your conviction been doubling up round after round?
Yeah, so I think 3 years later since our Series A, Super Gaming has built out its tech stack, and it's now in a position where it can launch shooter games in quick succession, because gaming investing is very hard in the sense that you may have 100 failures till one succeeds, but the company itself has built an intrinsic value in a tech stack that allows them to iterate quickly.
What was it that stood out, as far as Robbie is concerned as a founder, because there would have been those qualities that you were looking for?
I think it's that all-in mindset. So I think, look, Skycatcher, we are, by definition, actually want to be outside of the institutional playbook because we think of ourselves as entrepreneurial investors. And when you're an entrepreneurial investor, what does that make the difference between an institutional is that we truly are all in, right? We're not here for credentials. We're here to actually do something great, and we're not afraid to make mistakes in that process.
Well, Robbie, let's talk about what's coming up next, which is very, very exciting for a nation of cricket lovers. Now, you've hinted at a cricket-themed title that's coming up, which avoids real money gaming. How are you thinking about blending India's love of cricket with a purely community-first experience? And when do we get our hands on this thing?
You know, this opportunity is really a big opportunity now that we kind of see from two perspectives. India, cricket is, you know, people call it religion. I'll stay away from it, but I'll say that cricket is culture in India. We've kind of thought about gaming is a means of expressing your art and culture for the world. And we kind of feel like there's no great cricket game that celebrates true fandom, the great moments of cricket that you want to relive over and over again, the collection aspect of it. And we believe that there's a time to reinvent all of that. That's really what we're doing. We don't want to be thinking about betting and fantasy, but kind of create this true fan experience for our players. And we're glad to announce that we've partnered with Fan Craze to launch a game called the ICC Super Team, which will come out later this December. It's out on pre-registrations, and you'll hear about it soon.
And we wish you the very best for that. Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, Sia, for that absolute masterclass in building gaming IP from India. How can India lead in building new financial rails that foster inclusion, trust, and long-term savings? That's the question we are trying to decode in our next conversation. So let's welcome on stage Bharat T, CEO and co-founder of OnMeta. Welcome, Bharat. And of course, Sia from Skycatcher continues to be with us. Bharat, first up, give us a sense of what OnMeta is all about. How did the idea begin, and what are you building for the country today?
OnMeta is a bridge between the INR and the crypto, where we provide rails to the crypto wallets or decentralized applications where people can able to easily access those Web3 apps. Before joining itself, that entrepreneur's thought process was there, but don't know how. That's what we wanted to tag along with the founder and see how it built. And that's how Rapido joined with Arvind before Rapido and seen Rapido's journey. And after 5 years of Rapido, seeing, okay, now this is done. Now the velocity is, it will go on its own. We don't need our support. So now it's built on our own stuff.
Give us a sense of what went through your mind and what led you to put down money on it.
So I think one thing that I'll coin today, mark this moment, is there is a budding Rapido mafia, similar to the PayPal mafia. That is what we're aspiring to. And we have never publicly said that. And when you think about what that means is the Rapido mafia, they are the best at the cost structure. No one can even challenge how good they are and how lean they are. And if you think about crypto and blockchains, it's actually revolutionizing finance because you can do things at 1/10 or less of what it traditionally costs. So for us, we knew the mindset was there, the know-how, yeah, he had to learn along the way, and we're glad to help.
Any wish list for policymakers? Because this is something that's evolving at a rapid speed every other day, and there are new regulations. We've gone from absolutely zero regulation to some regulation, perhaps more coming up in the future.
That's what, right? No one talks about nothing on the regulations. It's complete zero. We realized, people needs it, and globally, shift is happening, and we should kind of power it to the Indian users, right? Because India wants to have that access to the dApps. That's the only thing which we have to have, which we're keeping in the mind. If a lot of things are happening on the global, why not in India? Why people can't in India can have the access to the decentralized apps? And that's how we started, right? So and the regulatory thing was fine, good. 2023 the taxations came, and 2022 the taxations came. 2023 the monitoring thing came, the institutions like FAU, Finance Intelligence Unit from the government. Now if anyone wants to launch a crypto services in India, they have to get approved by that. And now we are looking for the crypto policy paper ahead. And so far, for us, it's fine. But yeah, a little bit on the taxation front, it should be good.
Fiat currencies are under pressure. More and more institutions around the world are buying, investing in Bitcoin. How does India fit into this larger picture of preserving capital and building new, safe, compliant rails for the world?
I think at a global level, it's clear that Bitcoin has become a store value asset. Think about it. It's a $3 trillion asset, top 5 tech company in the world. You could look at it. But then you say, okay, central banks buy gold. We believe that very shortly they'll view Bitcoin as a digital gold. And then now let's zoom back to the India context, or in general, any emerging market that has suffered a massive currency devaluation. This is an opportunity to empower them from the potential risk that comes with fiat currencies. So at a high level, I think the ability to bank yourself is what crypto brings. And we're really excited to be able to offer that opportunity for anyone here to say, look, I want to be able to save in an asset that is a store value globally.
You have a big announcement for us tonight on the funding front. Would you like to share that with us?
Yeah, we are raising a Series A now very soon, and Sia is leading the Series A as well, same as Sia.
Huge round of applause.
On that note, like we have seen a larger opportunity in the Bitcoin savings. So far, if you see, the cycle has been more into the trading. Now we wanted to launch a Bitcoin savings app itself where we can educate a lot of users about the Bitcoin, like how this will be the next generation digital gold and the future will kind of save it. And in the most self-custody way, like we have seen a lot of negative things happening in the market, which is holding the custody, but we wanted to give back where users own the BTC on chain, right? And that you will see it in a more smooth way where people will not realize that they're accessing a Web3 wallet or a crypto wallet. Like it'll be a simple Web2 wallet, but actually that will be on chain where you don't need to worry about your custody of the Bitcoins. We'll be launching in the next first quarter of next year.
This is the first time it's being done here in India, right?
Yes, so far.
And I'm told that even Bharat doesn't know the number yet.
No, we signed the term sheet. I know the number.
You've already signed the term sheet. Okay. Good to know, good to know. Well,
I will say one thing. Post Series A, Rapido was growing 30%, 40% month over month for many months. I think we've given him the capital to be able to do that.
fantastic to know that.